Well, everyone, hi again. This is our take two. We had to go find Warren. He disappeared off the whole thing, and we're gonna pick up where we left off.
Yeah,
Hi, welcome back, Warren.
yeah, welcome back. My clone ran off from here, I guess.
No, you were
Anyway,
just a
glad to
blank
be here.
screen.
Oh, okay.
All
Maybe that
right.
was somebody's wish.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, let's take a look at the May calendar. And as we go down through, you can read and you see in red on the first day of May, that's the countdown number and day for until our total solar eclipse. And if we go there to Thursday and Friday and the following Sunday, you see there's a lot of references to for you to the concerning the moon, and I'm putting that in so that when you see on those days in the evening or in the morning the moon, it will describe what the moon is next to and give you information there rather than, oh yeah, I see the moon, but here's what in addition. So that. Then look at Monday, April the 8th. That's the date of next year in 2024 for our total solar eclipse. And I also put on there, on the 8th, we will be 11 months from the total solar eclipse. And then you can go ahead there on that same 8th, you see in the evening, there is information about planet Mars and where it is in relation to uh, Gemini, the twins there. But let's go to Wednesday the 10th, and this is the first of our 9 1/2 constellations for the month of May. And for those who were with us the last month, and I talked about a half of a constellation, that we would have it here, and I will explain that when we get to the appropriate point and what that means. Our first constellation here is Bootes the herdsman, and in there we have that's the diagram for him, and talking about that. You see down there toward the bottom of that map, if you want to call that, of the sky, and there's a large black dot. The only way that we can distinguish the difference in how bright a star, an object is in the sky, we call it magnitude, is that the brighter it is, we will make the black dot larger. So little bitty dots, as you can see down there below the page, the bottom of the page, there's the size of different dots for different how bright the the objects are. And so that's all that that is pointing out. And so here's Bootes the herdsman, and uh, in there, the major star, and if you want to scroll on down, Cindy, to the second page, and in there, on that, as up on as far as, there you go, thank you. If you scroll down in your, go down the numbers and you find number 7, that is Arcturus. And that happens to be the brightest star of Bootes the herdsman. And by the way, Arcturus is also the brightest star in the northern hemisphere. So if I remember right, it's either the third or fourth brightest star in the nights in our sky. And then if you scroll on down, Cindy, that's the listing of all of those stars. Then there are asterisms. An asterism, Asterism, is all that means is that somebody many centuries ago or whenever looked in the sky and saw a group of stars, 2, 3, 500, whatever number, and said, you know, that looks to me like, and you see there, the second one, an ice cream cone. And so that's what that person would call it. And that has stayed with it, the kite and the spring triangle and all these other things. All an asterism is, it's the name of some object in the sky someone has named, and it is not the name of any of the constellations. So that's all that talks about. And then the bordering constellations, there they are. And then there's interesting information that's added on. And then I'll give you at the bottom, if you were wanting to view all of Bouteilles, you have to be on the planet Earth. You have to be from the North Pole down to 34, 35 degrees south. And we're definitely within it. So that's on there in case there's somebody not in our Central Texas area that accesses the diagram and wants to know, can I see it? And that information would suffice if you want there. And so if you'll scroll back up to the first page, Cindy, and there you will see all of that, those numbers and the other things are there. And there's that green GRB 0803198. And that's also discussed on that second page. So there we are, the first of our 9.5 constellations. And then in there, I said, I gave you the bordering constellations. So you would see, and just scroll just up a little higher on the map there, if you would, Cindy, and we'll see that there at the top, there is Draco the Dragon, Ursa Major, and then you come down Canis Venatici, you go on down Coma Berenice. So let's say you're interested and you recognize and you can see Bouteilles, but you want to expand your familiarity of the night sky. So just there are the bordering constellations. Choose one that you might be interested in, and then you can go back to the library astronomy page and select that constellation and get it. And then what you'll do is you will slowly start spiraling around from starting at the 12 o'clock top of the clock position, going clockwise, 1, 2, 3, all the way around, and learn some other constellations, and then choose one or the different ones, start on, and then you keep expanding slowly as you have your interest. And I emphasize each time, do not let the sky intimidate you. Take your time, enjoy what you find, get information, and see what interests you as you go along. And stop whenever you want to. It's at your own pace. It's not a test or anything like that. I want you to enjoy looking at the night sky, and also go at your own pace and take as much as you want or as little. So let's go back to the calendar and we will continue on. Excuse me. And we go on the 11th there, and there's the moon at a perigee location. And for those of you who've been with us for quite some time, you know what perigee means. For those who don't, you can call in or write in and figure out what the perigee means. And then on Friday the 12th is the third quarter. And then you see on Saturday the 13th, there's the moon next to the planet Saturn. And so this will give you additional things you can see and become familiar with in the sky. Let's go to the next, there we go. And so as we continue on Monday the 15th, here is our second of the 9.5 constellations, and this is Circinus. So Cindy, let's look at Circinus, if you would please. There it is. There's not a whole lot with it, if you see, and it's further south. You'll notice in the middle of it, well, at the top part of it, there's a dashed line, and I have put on there the planetarium's southern horizon. So when you look to the south from this part of central Texas, you can see all of that top part down to that dashed brown line, and that's your southern horizon. Not until you decide to travel further south will those two bright stars there in Centaurus, Alpha and Beta Centauri, will you be able to see them because they're below our horizon. If you don't go, then all of that from there all the way to the South Pole, you will never see. So it's up to you to either travel or be satisfied with what you have there. And then again, you see that there are the numbers for the stars, and the second page has the same kind of information of about each of those stars. So that's what I provide for you each time. Let's go back to the calendar.
Well,
And
Warren, too,
yes,
if they go to the planetarium, you can rotate the dome and they can actually see it there. So there's three ways
yes.
besides traveling down to Mexico.
There you go. And Cindy was talking about that. And in fact, this coming Saturday, the 29th, let's see, yeah, 29th, is going to be when I will be doing my night sky orientation presentation, if you will, in the planetarium at Mayburn Science Theater, and I will use my laser. We will put up the entire sky, and I will be able to point things out and do things with the what we have there up on in the dome that I cannot do here. I can tell you, but I cannot demonstrate to you what I would do Saturday evening. And you're going to see as we go on down, it's Saturday evening, the last Saturday of each month down through September, starting at 5:30 there at the Mayburn Science Theater. Thank you, Cindy. Now, that's our second constellation. We're going to go over, look on the 17th, Wednesday, in the morning. The moon is going to be very close next to the planet Jupiter. And if you look just right up above it, there on Wednesday the 10th, we had, let's see, no, where was it? Oh, pardon, on Saturday the 13th, the moon was close to Saturn. So this also gives you an idea of how fast the moon travels through the sky. And it's the fastest thing we have in the solar system that travels across the sky for us because it is the closest to us. Now let's look on Thursday, the 18th. Here's our third constellation. And I'm pretty sure, pretty well everyone is familiar with this. So let's go there, Cindy. And here is Ursa Minor, and it's called the Little Bear. And so there's information about it. And you can see additional information that's on there. How does it rank as far as brightness or whatever? How large is it? And we go on down and notice that down there at toward the bottom of the white area is the designated spherical area in the sky that was determined back in 1930s that by the professional astronomers worldwide got together and they said, we need to designate certain areas of the sky for a specific constellation, because up to that time, everything was subjective. Depending upon astronomer B, he or she would say that this constellation is real teeny, while astronomer he or she G would say no, it's much larger. So they decided to work that out, and that's what that region in the sky means, that white part there. Look there, you see on the page there at the below the cross, where the northern celestial pole is, there is a star that's labeled as number 1, and it's a fairly good sized star, we think. So let's go to page 2 and let's see if we can figure out what that might be. Now it's with star number 1. Oh, it happens to be Polaris. Now, its other name, Alpha Ursae Minoris, that's that's talking about it being in the constellation itself. And there's some other things. There's actually there's 10 things that I have about the stars, but I only have 6 of those things listed on a separate page that we're going to see here in a little while. So you see Polaris is the westernmost, the northernmost, and also the brightest star of Ursa Minor. And you can read that and you see that Polaris has oodles, that's a technical term, oodles of names that have been added to it throughout the time there. If you look on those names, on the first line of it, starting there, Al Rukaba, look over to the very far right, and you'll see Polaris, and then you see Polaris again, but go to the second line, Polaris Borealis. That's its full name. And what does that mean? That's Latin. Polaris, all that is in Latin, it means pole star. And which one is it? It gives us Borealis, and in Latin, that means north or northern. So this is the northern pole star, which implies there may be a southern Polaris, and there is. Eventually, we will come to that southernmost constellation that includes the South Pole, and that's name would be Polaris Australis, South Pole Star. But anyway, you can read on down through it there. I get asked different times in the group or by different people also about Polaris, and I ask them, or they tell me, well, yeah, Polaris is important because it's the brightest star in the sky. No, it's not. And you will, I don't have it there, but I could mention to you, it's probably, I want to say it's about the 48th brightest. So what is significant about Polaris? There it is on the third line, the most famous single star in the night sky because of its position. It is the closest visible star. You do not need to use binoculars or a telescope to find it, the closest one to the northern celestial pole. And I will demonstrate this coming Saturday evening at 5:30, how to find Polaris and how to find the Little Dipper. Also, during that evening, I will talk about the Little Dipper, the Big Dipper, and 2 additional dippers that I see in the sky. I have a teeny dipper and a giant dipper. And this coming Saturday evening, as we go through, I will point those 4 out. And so you, if you're interested, you can talk to people about two additional dippers that seldom anyone even is aware of or mentions. So there's you a kind of a aha for them. Then there you can see all the different the stars and their information that's on there. The same thing, scroll down, Cindy, on the page, and there is the same, the asterisms. Notice the guardians of the pole and the Little Dipper, and then bordering constellation and viewing it, etc. Okay, let's go back to the calendar. By the way, if anyone has a question or a comment, go ahead, and what do you want them to do, Cindy? Call in, text in, or both?
They can just write it in the comments section of Facebook and we'll get it.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you have a question or if you got a comment, please put that in right then. Don't wait. I don't like for a person to think that they have to wait to the end to ask the question, because when that question comes up in your mind, I want to know about it right then, because that's the context of what I've been talking about, and something I've said or not said has made you think of this. So give it there, and that never is a bother to me. I appreciate you doing it right at that moment, because undoubtedly there's some other people that may have that similar question, but you beat them to the draw, or they just don't know if I want to say anything. But let's press on, if you will. Notice we have here in our constellation, we had Circinus, and we're now there on the Thursday the 18th, the Ursa Minor. And also I give for you the viewing period for every constellation, and I do it from, notice, from the sunset. So Thursday evening's sunset, which is at 8:20 p.m., you have all night until Friday morning, the 19th, to sunrise to view Ursa Minor there. Let's look at the 19th. And it says there at 10:53 in the morning, the moon is at its new location. That's a phase point, a precise point in space that at the new, the moon is precisely in line from Earth looking to the sun. It's right there, right in front of us, but you're not going to see it, because we're looking at the dark side, the shadow side of the moon, but we do reference that. And notice there is also another name for it. It's called a black moon. Now, what's that? Somebody has thought this up or used that some time ago, century ago, or whatever, that this is the third new moon in a single season. What season are we in now? What is it, Cindy?
Spring.
Yeah, we're in spring. So it's saying and telling us that there will be 3 new moons in the season of spring. That's all that means. It's just another little thing, a little tidbit to have about the night sky that there. Let's look on evening of the 19th, and this is our fourth of our 9.5, and that is the constellation either Libra or Libra, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So let's go there. And here's the picture of it. And two things really jumps out for us. Notice above the white area of Libra, there is the equator. So Libra is now our one that's in the southern hemisphere. And then there is a dashed blue line, and that is the path of the ecliptic. Now, when I say ecliptic, there should be another word that should come to your mind, and this is talking about eclipses. So this region, this path in the sky, actually, the ecliptic itself, the single little line there, is the path of the sun throughout the year. Now, the planets and the moon maybe have a angle above or below that. So we talk about the ecliptic, which was for the sun, but then we also can say the ecliptical uh, area, if you want to call it that, or path, or however you want to anything there, because the moon may be above or below, the planets also above or below that path. That's all that's talking about. Now, we have on here, scroll down to the page, the info page, if you would, please, right there. Just stop back up, just, yeah, that's good. Okay, right there is good. Now, same thing, listing all the different ones. But I want to draw your attention to star number 4 and also number 12. Now, how'd you like to have those names? Zubanel Ganubi and Zubin Escamal Lee. What does that mean? And by the way, Zubin Escamali is another little tidbit, the only star visible without binoculars or a telescope, and it has a greenish tint. Oh, wow. Okay, let's go back to the page, the first page, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, stop right there. Very good. Remember, I mentioned earlier that in the early part of the 1930s, the professional astronomers said we need to survey the sky and set up boundaries. And here's a great example of why they needed the boundaries. Because let's look over there on the ecliptic and look at star number 4. And that star is Zubanel Ganubi. It's the one that has the greenish tint. And then up on the green line at the top there, number 12, that's Zubin Escamali. Now, what do they mean in Arabic? Number 4, Zubin el Ganubi is the southern claw, C-L-A-W. Oh, okay. What's number 12? That Zubin Escamali is the northern claw. Now, let me ask you a question. What do two claws, C-L-A-W-S, have to do with Libra, the balance scales? Nothing. That's the answer. Nothing. What happened was, look down off of the white area to the southwest part at, we'd say, the 7th, 8 o'clock position, and there's the name of the constellation of Scorpius. What is Scorpius?
Scorpion, yeah.
The scorpion. Now, does the scorpion have claws?
Yes.
Yes, it do. So for centuries, there were astronomers and they said that the constellation Scorpius was so large that it included the area that's there in Libra, and that's why those two stars have northern and southern claw. So rather than change their name, that's still there, and go on. But now you understand why. Why in the world does Zubin Escamali and Zubin El Ganubi have to do as claws with Libra? And then you can explain that to them. Okay, and let's go back to the calendar. And you see where we are there, the last of Friday then, and with Libra. Let's go to the second page, and we'll begin to go finish up on this. And we have on Sunday the 21st, we have the fifth of our constellations, and this is Lupus the Wolf. So let's go to Lupus the Wolf. There we are. Now, and notice its relationship. You see up at the top there, on the left, there is that path of the ecliptic again. And below it, in the brown or the gray area, there is Scorpius. And to the right of the north arrow, there is Libra. So we are south of both of those, and we are definitely, and you can also see on the outside, both sides of it, you see a minus 20 degrees, minus 30 degrees, minus 40, 50. That is indicating we are in the southern hemisphere. And there is Lupus, the wolf. And we had Centaurus last month and some other star constellations there. So here we have it. Then scroll down and you see there is our southern horizon again. Back up. Yeah, there, just hold it right there. And there's our southern horizon again. Now, some I will include, and if you scroll to the next page, there you will see the southern horizon is taken off, because if somebody that is further north or further south from us, then they're not interested in our horizon. Wherever you are, you have a northern horizon and a southern horizon that we have. And then you can scroll down on the third page, and there is all of that is mentioned, and you see all of the different things about the stars that are there, and get the information in that. Boarding constellation, interesting information. And there, notice there was a bright supernova back in 1066 AD. And so other different things are there. Okay, let's go back to the calendar.
Hey, Warren, I have a question.
Sure.
At the top of all of these pages, it says Caldwell stars and Messier stars. What is
Yes.
that?
Well, they're not necessarily, well, they are nebulas, Nebula, and it's nebula is Latin for a cloud. Now, it can be a cloud of gas, and it may be gas that has particles in it, which would be like a dark cloud, or it could be also a grouping, a cluster of many stars. So, and I list that even though we don't have any there, and I'm looking and none are on the list, because if they were, they would be labeled as a capital A, capital B, C, D, E, depending on how many are on there. Good question.
All right.
Okay, let's go
Thank you.
back. And sure, there's on that. Notice, okay, look on Monday the 22nd, 3 o'clock in the morning is the beginning of it. The moon is 3.5 degrees from an open stars cluster that's called M35. And M is the name of the astronomer back in the 1700s, Messier, Messier, and his object, he was very wealthy. He had the best kind of telescope at that time, and he was looking in the sky and he was trying to find comets. That was his interest. And so, based on the quality of the telescope he used, which is definitely not what we have now, he was looking for what we would call a smudge of something in the sky. Now, I say smudge because when I was in grade school and middle school, and a little bit in high school, we had what we called in the classroom, a blackboard. And we had stuff that we used to write on it, and it was called chalk. And then when we wanted to get that writing off of there, we either picked up an eraser, a felt eraser, do it, or you couldn't find it. It was perfectly acceptable for the boys to use their shirt, their elbow and their forearm, and to wipe it off the page there, but the writing, and you would normally leave a smudge, a white smudge. And so that's what he would see. Oh, wow, wow, I found another uh, comet. So he went through and he labeled them. I didn't on there. Notice it says M35. That is the 35th object that he had been able to find up to that time. It means nothing other than it's a list and it's number 35. It's not the 35th largest, biggest, farthest, closest, brightest, dimmest, whatever. It's number 35, and that's it. And it finally winds up with 110, if I remember right, of them. And the other one that you were asking about, Cindy, with a C, Caldwell was an astronomer in the southern hemisphere, and he also in the 1900s and the 20s here, he was interested in objects, and so in honor of his list, it would be a C, capital C, and number 42 or 18 or whatever. That's all it is. So it's Caldwell and Messier. And that's all that means. Okay. Now, let's go to Wednesday the 24th. And you notice there a significant thing is from 12 to 1 on Wednesday the 24th. And Cindy, what does that happen to be?
That happens to be another virtual night sky tour.
Okay. And what are we going to be talking about then?
June.
June. It's
Yep.
always, I do it always, I talk about the next month. We're in April, so we're talking about May. In May, we're going to talk about June. And notice in June, there's 5.5 constellations. When are we going to get rid of all these half constellations in June? And let's go on. And notice on Thursday, the 25th at 2 o'clock, the moon is 3.9 degrees north-northeast of the Beehive star cluster. That's its name, its generic name, if you will, but it's also a Messier object, and it happens to be number 44. So that's what that means, that this happens to be a cluster of stars. There will be others that would be a nebula cloud that we would talk about. Okay, let's go on over. And on Friday the 26th in the evening is our 6th of our constellations. And here we are. Here is 1/2 an equatorial constellation called serpens caput, the serpent's head. Oh, Cindy, let's go to the picture and see if we can figure this out. Well, here is serpens caput. Aha. Now, the serpent is the head of, there's his head and part of the serpent's body. And if you'll scroll up to the top just a little bit, right above it is the serpent's got its mouth open, and you see that something there called corona borealis. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes here. And the serpent is trying to get that corona borealis. Scroll on down to the bottom, there you go. And at the bottom left, you see there's a constellation called Ophiuchus. Ah, Ophiuchus is the constellation called the serpent wrestler or serpent handler. And so this is part of the serpent that's on his farthest west side. You say, west? That looks east to me. No, remember, here's the difference. If you see what I have around the edge of it, you see on the left-hand side in vertical, it says eastern horizon. On the right-hand side, it says western horizon. Well, that seems odd, really. But think of it this way. When you are out, and if you ever used a road map for when you were out driving around, are you looking up at the ground or looking down at the ground and the highways?
Down.
Down. You're looking down. Well,
Yep.
gee, duh. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, then let me ask you this. When you look in the night sky, are you looking down at the stars or are you looking up at the stars?
Up.
And when you're looking up, we are below the night sky. So when we take our paper and hold it up, we are looking at the sky from the viewpoint of being underneath it. I have oodles of people that I've done in the past, and I would hand out, would have a, a page or pages of the constellations handed out, and I could still see some of the people that come up to me and, Warren, you made a mistake. What did I do? You got here on this constellation, it's backward. It ought to be west and east there. Oh gosh, I need to correct that. Let me deal with that after the presentation. And so then after the presentation, if I could either find them or they'd come up and they'd say, oh, I see, we're looking up into it, not looking down. So there you are. And that does not affect our north-south. It's only the east-west portion that it relates to you. Okay, let's go back, if you will, to our calendar. And so we have, and Serpens is the full constellation, but it is the only constellation that has been divided up into two separate sections in the night sky. So we have here the serpent's head. What would you think may be coming up in June? The serpent's what? Let's see if we can figure that out. And that's our other half of it. Now, on Saturday the 27th, there's you some more information. The moon has moved from its new position to its first quarter. And there on the 27th, the last Saturday of May, then I'm going to be talking about the June constellations. And that, as I said, it's 5.5 of them. And we try here, Cindy was able to get set up that we do our Facebook WebEx thing the Wednesday prior to when I do the presentation in the Space Theater, so that it's fresh in your mind here with what I've gone through, will have gone through with you. And then if you want to see how that fits together, then you would come this coming Saturday evening at 5:30, and you will then see, because we're in April, you will see the May constellations. And so that's what that does there. Now we scroll down and we get in here, our last week of May, and there is a reference to on Sunday the 28th of the planet Saturn. And we see there that it's a position called the Western Quadrature. And there is a diagram that I believe we have on the library page that would explain what that means about where the planet is in relation to Earth and the Sun. Now, Monday the 29th, we go, there is planet Venus, and also there's our Gemini, the twins, and there is our seventh of our 9.5 constellations, and they're Corona Borealis. I think that's familiar. Let's go to the page of Corona Borealis, please, if you would, Cindy. Okay, and go ahead, scroll down just a little bit, and there's Corona Borealis. Oh, what's that just below it? In the gray area, there is Serpens caput, the head of the snake, if you will. So what we would say, or I say, is the serpent is struggling to reach the northern crown. That's what that means in Latin. Corona borealis, crown north, northern crown. But the serpent does not deserve that crown. It would be primarily, it'd be like a tiara, maybe for the princess or the queen, or it could be a different form that the king or the prince may wear. That depends. Anyway, the serpent does not deserve to have that crown. And so the wrestler, Ophiuchus, is holding on to the serpent to prevent it from reaching the crown. And you can say that when you wow everybody in the night sky, pointing all of that out to them. Okay, let's go back to the calendar. You see where we are in this, and there on Monday the 29th, we go to the 30th, and here's our 8th of the 9.5, Triangulum Australe. Now that ought to be pretty easy. Go ahead and let's click on it. It ought to be pretty easy to figure out based on what I've told you about the names before. In Latin, triangulum, what would we say probably in English?
Triangle.
Triangle. Now, what is Australia? What would that possibly be? Pardon?
Southern.
Southern.
Yes.
Very good. So this is the southern triangle. That means, we haven't seen it yet, but there is a triangulum borealis, a northern triangle. And here we are, and you notice that it happens to be below our southern horizon, which is too bad because you see just below there at the top of the white area, you see a capital A and a capital B. And the A has an interesting looking circle, yellowish crosshair in it, and B has just got a dot. Or no, that's not B, that's just 8. I'm sorry. Okay, now let's take the opportunity and let's go to the third page. Keep on going, keep going, keep going. Okay, stop. Now, back up. There we are. Now, what are we looking for? Look on the numbers of the stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up, 9, and next is A. And notice it's labeled as C95. So from what I had mentioned to you earlier, this is a Caldwell object in the southern hemisphere, and it's his 95th that he uh, either discovered or named or whatever. And you go on over to the right, and you in the numbers there, you see a Greek letter D there, looks a little squiggly, and it's in -60, -27. With the minuses in front, that means southern hemisphere. But let's go on over, and here's the description. Open cluster in the sky containing 100 plus stars. So that's what it is. That's the object in the sky, and that's what we have. So other could be a nebula cloud, but this is a cluster of stars that we have. And then there's the rest of the stars, and as we go on down through, we can see that. Let's go back to the calendar. We're getting ready to finish up, and we're going to go to the last day, the 31st, and we have the 9th of our 9.5 constellations, and that's Norma, the Carpenter's Square. So let's go to Norma. There we are. Now, I'm not sure what kind of square that carpenter was using. It's definitely a handmade square. Looks like something I would use or probably did use. But uh, anyway, we have here Norma, and almost all of it is above the southern horizon for us. And notice at the bottom of Norma is the top of Triangulum Australe. And you see that we can't see any part of Triangulum Australe. And there happens to be another letter. There is an A with the circle, yellow, and crosshairs. So, Cindy, let's scroll down on the third page. Okay, hold it, back up a little bit, and let's find A. And we're going to have to go clear down 1 through 16, 17, 18, and you come, and there is A. And what is it? It's a Caldwell again, and it's his 89th. And you go over to the information on him, and you see the very last. This is an open cluster of stars. Okay, that's all that is telling you about that. There is more information if you have an app or if you have a book that talks about the constellations, you can get more information. Let's go back to the calendar. We are still on the last day of the month, and if you notice, we go down below Norma, and we have the final, the 10th of the 9.5 constellations. Now that sounds odd. Warren, how can you have 10 of 9.5? Well, I'm just counting how many constellations or segments of constellations. So there's 10 separate ones. That's what I did. And this is Apis, the bird of paradise. Both Apis and Norma, if you went out at 8:29 at sunset, on the 31st, then you will see if we can find either one of those two. And let's go to Apis, if you would. There is Apis. And are we going to see it? No, it's below Triangulum Australe. And so we are out of luck as far as finding Apis there. But I wanted to include that for anybody who happens to be in a different part of the world and wants to access the map, if you will, on that. And you do see down at the bottom, there is the constellation that will come up eventually. It's called octans, Octans, and that's the word for 8, octant. And there is what it's talking about. And there is in the center the southern celestial pole, the SCP. And that's as far south as you can get. Let's go back, if we will, to the calendar. We should be through and on that. And then there is the first 3 of our June calendar that's coming, will be coming up in a few days. And there we see some more information about that. Now, any questions, comments, anybody put in for us to deal with?
No, we don't have any.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Okay,
So there we are, Cindy.
all right.
Appreciate your help.
Thank you, and I'm glad we were able to hang on to our live stream at
Yeah.
that point. Before we go, I want to, if I could get there, because I've got things
Oh,
in the
yeah,
way. There we go.
yeah.
I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow we have Mr. Tim Bowers. He is going to be talking, he's going to give us an inspirational talk. This will be at the Anderson Building, not here at the library, and he will start at 1 p.m. And then after the talk, we're going to have an ice cream social over at the Anderson Building. So I hope everyone can make it to come at that time. Also, next week, we have our Byways reception. That'll be next Thursday on May 4th. Please come over to the library and help us honor the people who became finalists in the Byways. We just had some amazing entries this year, and we're very excited to honor all of our Byways recipients. So, other than that, Warren?
Well, I've got one more you skipped over and I forgot about it. So the next to last object, the document there, the extreme stars.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Let me get that.
That was my error. I didn't, just, it should be the one just prior. There you go. Oh, nope. Where was
Hang
it?
on. It should be there. I'm just gonna go find it this way. It's right here.
Okay,
All right. May. Okay.
good.
Nope.
Almost. There it is. There's the 6th. That's April. And
Oh
I
no,
sent you.
I think I put the wrong thing in.
No, it's up there on the right. Right there on the right one, May 2023. There you are. That's it.
That's not the extreme stars.
Well, it looked
That's
like it.
the astronomical calendar. I put the
Okay.
wrong thing up. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
We will have it next time.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
That's
It
okay.
actually, it's just got uploaded wrong. So it didn't get loaded right, Warren. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. That's okay. Well, it
'Cause
looks like it's there. That's
April is there, October is there, December
okay.
is
So we don't
there.
have, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it does look like it, but I didn't upload the actual link. So this is
Okay.
just the picture of the extreme stars. But we can't make it bigger. But this is what
Yeah,
it looks
nope,
like,
nope.
guys. if I did it right.
Okay.
I will fix it. I promise.
Sure. Well,
So
thank you very much.
you're welcome. All righty. So everyone, thank you again. And I'll get my act together next time, Warren, I promise.
Uh, it's
All
me
right.
that's doing that.
It's what?
It's me that's messing you up.
No,
So that's my
no,
problem.
no. Let's blame Alyssa. Poor
Okay.
Alyssa. Say, I just streamed, Cindy, leave me alone. All right. Well, listen, guys, we will see you next time. You guys have a great day. And uh I don't really know whether it's raining or whatever because my blinds are closed, but just go enjoy the day. You guys do well on your essays, do well on your the last few weeks of your school, and I hope you do great on your exams. So we will see you next time. And Warren, thank you so much again.
You're welcome. By the way, I just looked out. The rain or the drizzle has stopped over here in Morgan's Point. So shouldn't have any more eventually.
Okay, well, good, good, good.
Appreciate you coming, all of you coming and viewing and picking, getting more familiar with the night sky. And
Yep.
look forward to those of you who will choose and can come Saturday evening and get to meet you, and we'll point out some different things for you.
Okay. All righty. So, you guys have a great day. I will fix that warrant, I promise. And we'll see you next time. So, Alyssa, if you could take us out, please.